Welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalja and today we have one of the industry leaders, Lizzie Bennett, CEO of Blencowe Scaffolding Limited. Welcome Lizzie, how are you doing today?
Yes, very good. Thank you, Alex. Yourself?
I'm awesome and I'm very excited to have you on the podcast today and I'm sure you're going to be of great value for the audience. Now, before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what Blencowe Scaffolding Limited does?
Yeah, we're a scaffolding company on the south coast. We offer all services from access towers on just a house to temporary roofs over heritage buildings.
Okay, that's really interesting. And basically, what inspired you to join Blanco Scaffold? Was there a specific moment when you wanted to do that?
More for me, it was the ethos of Blencowe. Blencowe has always been a family-run business, which for me was quite important rather than going with corporate companies.
Okay, I see. But for example, what was your background before joining this venture?
I used to work in stationery and
Okay, I
then went
see.
on to hire and sales. I fell into the construction industry. It wasn't something that I always dreamed of as a little girl as such.
I see, I see. And for example, like if you are looking back in those early days, what would you wish you done differently?
I think I'm quite content with how my career progressed. I started in a small role with Blencowe, just an administrator, um, on 3 days a week.
Okay, see. And now, from what I know, like Blanco has an incredible 69-year history. So, could you share how it all started and how the business has evolved over the decades?
Yeah, we started off as a small family-run operation, one lorry, two individuals. It was very modest, resources, etc. They were just determined individuals to be able to strive within the industry. They saw a gap sort of in the Salisbury area, especially, and wanted to offer their services throughout the local community.
Okay, and for example, like what was it like joining a long-standing family business and growing within it over the past 8 years?
It's been rewarding and humbling for me. You get a sense of responsibility not only for sort of shaping the company and how it goes forward, but it's almost like you're carrying over a legacy from someone else.
Okay, see. And I have like one curiosity by then. So from one lorry and two people to nearly like 60 employees and three depots, what have been the biggest milestones in Blackco's growth story overall?
There's been quite a few milestones in the history of Blencowe, but opening up the two additional depots was certainly one of the biggest. We opened a depot in Basingstoke and a depot in Eastleigh, which obviously expanded the geographical reach and the delivery of the services that we could offer into those two areas, especially.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fascinating. But for example, like in our last conversation, you mentioned that your first clients came through like the local networking. And how did that early approach evolve into working to tier one contractors today?
Yeah, every relationship in the past come from word of mouth, sort of in the town, out and about. It led to the foundations for what we have now. We formalized everything, so the systems, the health and safety practices. We invested massively into training and accreditations, which gives us the ability to be able to get in with the tier ones and then gives them the confidence that we could deliver at the scale that they needed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, like, could you tell us more about the Winchester Cathedral project and what's featured by BBC? What makes it so special for you and the team?
It was special for us because it combined the technical complexity of scaffolding with historical. Winchester is one of the biggest in sort of the UK. It's known by everyone. Working on a site of that age and with the importance of the site as well required planning, sensitivity, craftsmanship of all of our men. But being featured in the BBC was probably the proudest moment for the whole team. It was highlighted that the skill involved and the professionalism and care brought to every project of ours was incredible.
So this could be like another milestones on the list, right?
Yeah. Being on the BBC is quite a big milestone for any business.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. And now, like walking us through how Blencowe Scaffold Limited addresses these challenges in the market, what makes your approach unique?
For us, it's teamwork and connection across the business. That's imperative for us.
Okay. And basically, like even with the three depots and dozens of employees, how do you maintain such a strong sense of teamwork and connection across the business?
We try and ensure to get the whole team together as much as possible and spend time in each depot. I travel between all three, ensuring that everyone feels that they're part of the same project, same mission. The managers are deeply engaged with all of their teams, down to yard men, etc. And we keep the structure open and approachable. Regular meetings, shared goals, making sure that there's a culture where people look out for one another, etc.
Okay, and in your view, like what are the key values that have helped Blanco stay successful and respected for almost 7 decades?
Integrity, consistency, but most importantly, probably reliability, has always been at the heart of Blencowe. We do what we say we'll do. We treat people with respect, pride in the quality of our work and health and safety, and the values have carried us through the 69 years. And that's the reason that we retain our staff and clients stay with us. And we've got regular sort of clients that come back.
Right, makes sense. And like overall, how do you preserve that family run feel and personal touch while continuing to grow?
It's a hands-on approach. You have to stay involved. We invest in the teams. We try and celebrate as many achievements as possible inside and outside of work. Encourage that communication at every level. Even as we scale up through the business, we make sure our decisions reflect the personal care and accountability that have defined the business before. Our MD is still heavily involved, who founded the business as well.
Okay, that's super interesting. And I'm curious, like when you look at how your team like delivers that experience day to day, like how much of it relies on manual workflows versus like automated systems with, for example, with the way with AI right now.
We try and even though AI is coming into every business, it's all about that personal approach. It's about still taking someone for coffee in the morning, trying not to do everything on emails and phone calls, and actually going out to meet customers, even if that's a Greg's coffee in the morning. We're trying to still keep that personal approach to people.
Yeah, makes sense totally. And for example, like since you're right in the middle of this market every day, what are like you noticing that others might be missing?
It is probably the personal approach for us, and for me personally, that has always been at the heart of where I want to be. Even when I look at suppliers and stuff like that, when there's no personal approach, there's no relationship development.
Yeah, so this is one of the most like important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And like for example, when we talk to potential clients in our market, what's the biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
Scaffolding's always had its own name for itself. And the type of people that work in scaffolding have always had their own name for themselves. For us, it's just making sure that we don't reflect that. I mean, being a woman in the business has had its difficulties at times, but it's ensuring that you can see that it's evolved as a industry and that there is room for everyone.
Yeah, makes sense. And like for example, also could you share a specific success story of a client? And I'm curious, what did I teach you about what really drive results in your space?
Success with clients is about delivering. You have a service that you offer, you need to deliver that service that you offer. And it's going above and beyond the mile, doing work on Saturdays, Sundays, night work and stuff like that. And it's that that keeps the clients coming back when you go above and beyond. However, we have faced struggles in doing that. We've not been able to, if people are on night work and stuff, not being able to get them to work the next day,
Yeah,
etc. So that's probably the lessons learned, is making sure that even though you've got your night work, you're still sticking to your hours for your men to make sure that they are okay.
makes sense. Yeah. And now, like looking at the broader industry, what would make the next 6 to 12 months a huge success for you and the Blencowe team?
It will be a continued steady growth in the industry. We need to strengthen our leadership structure again, ensure that each depot operates with consistency and confidence, um, focus on the training, ensuring our blokes are the best that they can be.
Okay, but for example, like because you mentioned this, as you expand into like new areas, how do you plan to keep the company culture consistent across all depots?
That's leadership. That comes from the top.
Okay. And if you could like share one piece of advice with like younger professionals, especially with the women entering construction, what would it be?
Always be confident. Be confident in your abilities. Be confident to be able to speak up. Don't be afraid to take that space that is there. It's an industry where communication and leadership are valuable, and those qualities, even though they aren't defined by gender, seek out mentors. Remember, you belong in any room where you've earned your place, and don't let anyone let you think different.
Yeah, right, makes sense. Great advice though. And it sounds like you're ahead of the curve in many ways, which make me curious about your growth plans. So, for example, what's exactly your North Star metric for the next year ahead?
For us, it's just that steady growth in the next year. We've got to a point where we've expanded slowly. It's trying to ensure that you don't go over the mark and you can still deliver the service, etc., that you've always delivered without expanding too quickly.
hmm And for example, like when you look at how companies in your space approach growth, like what separates the ones that break through from those that plateau?
It not growing too quickly. There's businesses that haven't quite broke through because they've tried to do everything on a speed basis. They haven't had the cash flow, etc. It's trying to do it on a steady growth to make sure you can maintain that relationship with all of your clients and you can offer the service that you are stating you can offer.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. And as you wrap up, like I'm curious about what's on the horizon. So when you look at Blencowe Scaffold Limited journey over the next few years, what possibilities excite you the most? And basically on the personal level as well.
Like getting young people into the industry and ensuring that we do have leaders of all ages, genders, etc. Because I do feel that the younger generation has a lot to bring into the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, makes sense. And like for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Blencowe Scaffold Limited, what's the best way to get in touch?
Always by phone. It's always that personal approach. Our landline numbers available on any website, etc. So it's always that personal approach and actually getting to meet someone and shake their hand.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. And so thanks for joining me today, Lizzie, and for this amazing podcast session. And for anyone listening, make sure to check out Blanco Scaffold Limited socials below in the description because this episode was packed with value and I can wait to see what you build next.
Thank you very much, Alex, for having me.
Great. See you in the next episode then.
Thank you.